But I also want to ask, like, since you really followed Knicks free agency last year, did you think the Knicks were going to get Kyrie and KD, or did you think that was just kind of a lot of rumor?
There were definitely moments where a particular tweet or a particular, rumor that everyone was so confident. It's easy to forget at this point, but people, not necessarily for Kyrie, but earlier in that season, people were so certain that Durant was going to be a Knick. People who were dialed in with sources. And so who am I to know better? I have no sources myself, and so I'm inclined to believe.
Did you let yourself get excited about it at all, or were you like, this isn't going to happen? It's the Knicks.
I never feel one way about things, and things change over time. So I would say 90% of the time I knew better. I wasn't excited. But then, someone would fire off something like, I just saw Rich Kleiman and, KD to the Knicks is a done deal. Whatever. There was genuinely stuff like that out there. And I don't know. That was really cool. I was really excited about that. But I think by the time free agency actually rolled along in 2019, I think if you go back to my tweets, I was probably even saying, if I was Durant, I would just go to the Nets. If you want to be in New York, play for the franchise in the cooler part of the city that's better run, and that's how that went. But no, I think I definitely had my dark moments where I gave in to getting excited, but mostly I am made entirely of scar tissue and know better than to feel any positive, hopeful feelings about it.
Hey, but congrats on Austin Rivers, and
Listen,
drafting.
We're recording this early enough that the Knicks could go ahead and do something extremely stupid, even by the time I finish this sentence. But I think most Knicks fans will agree. A summer, even just a first few days of free agency where the Knicks didn't dramatically embarrass themselves, that's a win. That's a W.
If they had signed Gordon Hayward, would that have been something you were happy about? I read your article and I was wondering if you wanted them to sign Gordon Hayward.
Not really. On one hand, Gordon Hayward's a good player.
Yeah.
He seems kind of Trumpy, and
he got a lot of money though.
Oh, he definitely is Trumpy.
Yeah. So that's not my favorite person to root for, but he's good. His presence would not totally throw off the development of anyone that I care about on the Knicks. On the other hand, what are you going to do with Gordon Hayward over the next 3 to 5 years?
Give him $40 million.
Yeah, to do what? They're not going to win. I wouldn't have been super upset if they signed Gordon Hayward. Certainly, that's money better spent than on some other guys. But yeah, certainly not upset they let him go elsewhere.
How'd you feel about Obi Toppin getting drafted? Were you excited? Were you like, this is whatever. We have Amari back.
Yeah. As with most Knicks drafts, I was not. That's not who I would have picked. I was not happy with the pick. In fact, I'm pretty sure you could go on my phone and find text messages of, I'm the Knicks friend for people. So on draft night, people are like, who do we want the Knicks to draft? I haven't been paying attention. I'm sure you find yourselves in these sorts of conversations. And I was like, anyone but Obi Toppin, I'm fine.
Damn.
But he seems like a really cool guy. He's excited. He's a talented player. He'll offer something. He really is like a clone of Amari Stoudemire, which is in many ways a positive. If they build intelligently at other positions, it could be a fine pick. Wouldn't have been my pick. I'm not totally freaked out about it, but wouldn't have been my pick.
Who were you hoping they would draft in with that pick?
A guard. I mean,
Tyrese
Halliburton, I would have been on board with. Kyra Lewis, I would have been on board with. If they wanted to go with a wing, like Vassell, would have been fine with that. But I've been a Knicks fan long enough that it's just just go get the point guard. If there's a point guard, get a point guard. So they didn't even do that with their other picks. I'm fine though.
How does the New York sports team hierarchy go? Does it go like, we know the Yankees are good, the Knicks are like the child prodigy that peaked at 5 years old when nobody remembered, but we still love them anyways, and then it's like Islanders,
Yeah.
Jets, like what's the hierarchy?
It's so tough to. I mean, first of all, I grew up in New Jersey. I don't think I count as a New Yorker, but it sort of depends where you are and who's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to figure. Like, I've always gotten the sense that as long as the Knicks are good, the Knicks are really up there with the Yankees. Just the Knicks have mostly not been good during my adulthood, so it's hard to gauge. But even just like, Linsanity happens and all of a sudden everyone cares about the Knicks. There have been little moments throughout the last 20 years where it was like, oh yeah, this city is totally ready to care about the Knicks. The Knicks just need to do the bare minimum to earn it. It's always seemed to me like the Yankees are the most beloved team in New York, and I'm curious how that would be tested if they were terrible for 15 straight years or something like that. But it seems like sort of like Yankees, Jets, and I would love to see a geographic and demographic breakdown of Giants versus Jets.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own theories about who's a Jets fan and who's a Giants fan, and like in North Jersey where I grew up, there were no Jets fans. It was all Giants fans. I don't know why that's the case. I'm Jewish. I think that Jews tend to be Jets fans. I don't know why that's the case. Long Island, I've always gotten the sense that those are Jets fans, not Giants fans. There's no good reason. They play in the same place.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I'm sure this could be explained somehow. But anyway, I don't know which football team people care about more. I don't care about either of them or any football team. But and then, hockey is just a less popular sport than the other ones. But it feels to me like Yankees, the Knicks are sort of a floater where people are ready to love them on, as much as the Yankees if it comes to that. And after that, I am not an expert on these things.
Yeah, because it feels like a lot of the New York personalities, like there's this comedian, Andrew Schultz. I don't know if you know who Andrew Schultz is. He's like a homegrown New York comedian. He has his own like comedy podcast and stuff. And he's like one of those, diehard Knicks fans. They're yeah, we know we suck, but I just want them to be good again. And it's like, wow, New York really seems like a basketball town, even regardless of how many 20 fucking something championships and World Series the Yankees have. It's like, we want the Knicks to be great. We want them to succeed. And I was like, man, I want the Knicks to be great for you guys too. That'd be nice. That'd be cool. When Carmelo was hyped up, like, what was it, that Easter game when he made those 2 back-to-back threes against Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I've never seen the Garden like this, like at all. Just that hyped up.
Yeah, like I said, it just doesn't. I've been at games in the middle of 2005 where the Knicks are, already 20-60, but things against the Bobcats are tight. And if, they could get a W here if Chris Duhon makes this shot, and all of a sudden the Garden feels like it's a playoff game.
Yeah.
And that's pretty delusional. And, we might argue that kind of unwavering attention is the reason that someone like James Dolan hasn't been, driven into an early grave at this point. But it's also pretty cool.
Damn, 2005. That's like when Nate Robinson was there.
Yes, it's right.
Marbury. Yeah.